Hello, Meoni here, and welcome to my summary of Live Letter Part 84, covering the second half of footage and information for patch 7.1. The Live Letter kicks off with a brand new trailer for patch 7.1, featuring many images from Final Fantasy XI, music from Final Fantasy XI, and a few other bits and pieces as well. 11 has ran for more than 20 years, Yoshi P says. There are many players who have a lot of memories tied to that game. We wanted to respect Final Fantasy XI as much as we could, and Soken was very careful with adding sound effects and etc. We didn't want to leave players behind that didn't play Final Fantasy XI either. It's a pretty great trailer in my opinion, so please go check it out when you get the chance. The links are on screen. So let's move on to the main news then. So patch 7.1 will release on Tuesday the 12th of November, as many of us, including myself, actually predicted a while ago. It is the release date for patch 7.1. So let's have a refresher of what 7.1 actually features. There is obviously new MSQ quests, an allied society quest in the form of the Pelu Pelu, which are for combat roles if you want your EXP for your combat roles leveling up. There is a new custom delivery client for the NPC Nitowique. This is added in patch 7.15 and not actually 7.1. There is additional role quests. These will be added in patch 7.16 and not 7.1. You will need to have all of the previous role quests for all of the roles completed to see this one in patch 7.16. Additional Waku Meki Meki quests for crafters. These will be added in patch 7.15, and once again you need to have previous quests for the Waku Meki Meki section in Tuliello completed to see this. Hildebrand will be making his return in patch 7.15, and Yoshi P says since this is the first part of a new Hildy story, it's a bit of a prologue, an entry into this new storyline. Next up, we have Uyaata Field Station, which is a brand new dungeon unlocked as part of the 7.1 MSQ. Yoshi P says since this new dungeon is part of the MSQ, it will not be as difficult as the extra dungeons we had, such as the expert dungeons. But I do feel like we did a bit of a new thing with the third boss, he says. Quote, our guy who programmed the duty support was questioning a little, are we really doing this? End quote. Additionally, Minstrel's Ballad, Sphne's Burden, so Sphene Extreme, will be added. Yoshi P says the normal mode wasn't that hard, right? In Extreme, there will be a lot of up and down, and something about the floor you're standing on, but it's not that difficult. Not too much focus on thinking mechanics, but execution mainly. It will be a bit longer, maybe a minute more than other Extremes, so we're rewarding 2 totems for completion. Additionally, 7.1 has the Jade Stoa Unreal, Echoes of Vanadil Juno, the First Walk, the first section of the new Alliance raid will be added, they talk about that later. Futures Rewritten Ultimate, which will be released with 7.11, so a week after 7.1 comes out. The new Cloud of Darkness Chaotic, which releases 1 week after patch 7.15, and New Game Plus support for 7.0. There's also duty support for non-MSQ dungeons being implemented going forward, with the first couple. I'm not sure where that's up to yet, but you can expect the first few dungeons that are outside of that main storyline to be added from A Realm Reborn. Hall of the Novice is being updated with its new training missions for specific battle mechanics such as stack and spreads, tank busters, that kind of thing. There are obviously PvP updates they talk about later. Doman Mahjong with voiced reactions from Scions. I believe it was mentioned you can buy these from the Gold Saucer with MGP for voice packs for Doman Mahjong. Housing updates will be in 7.1, where you can select different interiors from different residential areas regardless of location of your plot. Then Yoshi P remembers they forgot one thing to actually add to the slide here. He says there is one more quest. Since the previous raid series, Pandemonium story is concluded, we're actually adding an extra side quest there. It felt wrong to do that in 7.0, so we're doing it now, end quote. So I'm pretty hyped to see what that's all about. So time to go into more detail. This section of the live letter goes into in-game footage. First, they feature echoes of Vanadil, the first Alliance raid, called The First Walk. Yoshi P toggles to in-game footage now, as you can see. Yoshi P says, I can't say how and why we end up here, of course. It features a section of the city Juno from Final Fantasy XI in this footage, as you can see. As he walks around, you'll see some goblin replica enemies that are blocking the way. Yoshi P toggles to God mode to remove the enemies very swiftly. And then we see Bakul Jar Jar next to the strange jumping portal that jumps Yoshi P upwards towards the first boss platform, or one of the boss platforms. I'm not sure where this boss is in the list. They've disabled that UI element, where Prish of the Distant Chains apparently awaits. Floating debris surrounds this platform, and Yoshi P demonstrates you can indeed walk off. We see a couple of AoEs on this, as well as a shared tank buster, but very little of the boss mechanics. Yoshi P says, okay, I think I will get in trouble if I show much more. We got asked if you can't freely walk around here, he says, but since this is an Alliance raid dungeon, but this also will be an event map, so you will be able to use this area for screenshots. An observation was made by many here looking at the Black Mage bars. There does appear to be 2 stacks of ley lines on Yoshi P's Black Mage, so think of that with the job changes as you will. Finally, they have a look at the Alliance raid gear for this segment. We've got some classified images. Simple, cool, and in keeping with the Final Fantasy XI references. There's some really cool armor here. Yoshi P says, until the last moment, there were lots of discussions with input from the Final Fantasy XI team on what gear design to assign to which job. And I think they look really cool there. Really nice pieces of gear. Very similar, but very much, true to Final Fantasy XI if you've played that game. All right, so now we talk in depth about the 24-player Savage raid, known as Chaotic Cloud of Darkness. First of all, there's a slide how to participate. Apparently, you need to finish the Dawntrail MSQ, then register for the duty in Raid Finder or Party Finder. Your party comp is actually 2 tanks, 4 DPS and 2 healers in one group, times 3. So your typical Alliance raid size of 24, with the only difference here being that each group needs 2 tanks. So there we go. It shows you how many mechanics are going to be related to tanks, I guess. Preformed alliances may undertake the duty with 12 to 24 members, but the difficulty and rewards will remain the same. So if you're, hardcore, you can do it with less than 24. However, the difficulty is fully balanced around 24 players, so it's going to be hard with 12, but I guess possible. In-game footage time. So on this first cutscene, we see multiple clouds of darknesses shown, which is interesting. The first platform we see is this usual place you would find at the end of World of Darkness, that Alliance raid. It's shown as the first platform you fight on, but then there's these 2 AoEs with a tell that shows you if it's far or near and what side will be safe. So you can see on her, she's got like a dagger, which side she's going to slice. So you stand in the safe spot. Then the room actually transitions a little bit later to this square shape as the cloud herself destroys the platform. As you can see, now the fight takes place in a completely different area that's reminiscent of a previous raid series, and there's a lot going on here with the tiles, as you probably remember. We see a lot more, but Yoshi P gets fried, and that's all they're allowed to show for now. Yoshi P says this will be done with 24 people and has a lot of phases. Do you remember the tile mechanic, he says? If 2 people stand on the same tile, you fall down? Well, yeah. There obviously will be mechanics that split the groups, he says, but just because it's 3 full parties doesn't mean that's how you need to split, and I won't say too much more. And just like PvP or content like Eureka, leadership will probably be very important, end quote. So looking at the rewards for the 24-player Savage then, it will reward item level 730 gear. So if you were interested to see what item level that was, 730. Mounts, minions, and hairstyles are also included here as rewards, as well as these new tokens that can be exchanged for rewards. There'll be 2 different types of mounts as rewards, says Yoshi P, and some things will be rare drops, so you can actually trade for them with tokens instead. These tokens do not have a weekly limit, so that's an important point. So if you wanted to just farm these with multiple groups, you could. There's also a bonus reward system. Your first time duty bonus gives additional tokens are awarded in proportion to the number of alliance members who are new to the duty. And there's also a limited time bonus system, which is a randomly occurring bonus that persists for several hours. You enter the duty during that period for improved drop rates and additional tokens. These limited time bonus effects will be different depending on the data center you play on. Yoshi says, quote, "And we are aware this might mean that there won't be party finders outside of bonus times, but we'll want to give this system a try," end quote. Now some pictures of the rewards then. First, this amazing looking red glamour, reminding me of kind of like, I don't know, something demonic there. I love that. It's kind of like Diabolos. And then there's a second glamour shown on a Lalafell. Not sure what that is. It looks very cool. Then there's mounts shown in the game. First of all, there's a floating tile platform with a triangular base from a chaotic raid. It plays the Cloud of Darkness music. It looks amazing. And it even has a special action button that presses and then makes your character panic as the tile flashes to red, making it fade and you fall off to desummon the mount. I think that's actually brilliant, and what a well thought out mount. Another mount is actually literally the Cloud of Darkness. You float inside this cloud as your character in her cloud and float around, which is frankly hilarious. Yoshi P says a few of these rewards can be sold on the market board. We wanted to match the extreme difficulty at first, he says, but I would say the mechanics themselves are like the first floor of a Savage. But when you consider doing it as 24 people, it might bump up the level to a second floor Savage. PvP updates section then. So there are PvP action, execution and hit detection updates. Until now, Yoshi P says hit detection was triggered at the time of action execution. The timing of hit detection will be better and match visual effects. Actions which feel more responsive with immediate hit detection will be addressed on an individual basis, such as Machinist. Major additions and adjustments for PvP actions include the addition and removal of various PvP actions for each job. This will be talked about at a later date or on a patch note thing, not here. Yoshi P says new actions added, some removed as well. However, Viper and Pictomancer have no changes because they have only been added recently. Black Mage will change a lot, for example, end quote. There'll be significant balance adjustments. Certain limit breaks will receive adjustments to gauge charge times and much more. Adjustments to frontline and rival wings, apparently damage dealt and damage taken. Your limit gauge charge time. Machina functionality. Yeah. So Yoshi P says, I wanted to add roll actions for frontline and rival wings specifically, but we didn't make it in time, so that will be in patch 7.2. Additionally, we have PvP Series 7, which begins. Crystalline Conflict Arena improvements to both Red Sands and Cloud9 are in this patch. There is a before shot of Cloud9, which looks like this, and an after shot, which now looks like this. So what they've done is they've added more objects to hide behind here. Yoshi B says, but because your movement path is narrower now, the tornado might feel more dangerous, end quote. Same with the Red Sands. Here's a before and here's an after. Yoshi P says it was always difficult to return to battle because of routes being so fixed. As always, please give us feedback for how these changes to the maps feel, end quote. Ranked matches are also being changed, starting with Season 12, which is the ranked PvP. In Season 7.1, rankings will be determined per region rather than per data center. Players may register for matches from the designated data center. They want to change this every season. Only the best performing character on a server's account will actually be listed in the rankings, so no alt play anymore. In accordance with rankings being consolidated to one data center per region, the number of placements for rewards is obviously being adjusted. As for Oceanic players, they say since they only have one data center, the number of placements for rewards will remain the same as prior to 7.0. Yoshi P says, this is not entirely what I want to do. Like, ideally, you should just be able to match from wherever, right? We are working on a matching system that involves every kind of content, he says. As soon as I have more news, I will make an announcement, but I can't say this yet, end quote. So maybe we are having just a mega server. That's interesting. And that's the end of part 1, and then FoxClan and Yoshi P go for a quick break. Right then, let's look at part 2, talking about the new Ultimate, Futures Rewritten Ultimate. They show the intro cutscene, which looks pretty great, featuring a slightly different looking Reen here as Shiva Mitron, and then it transitions to the first platform or phase of a fight, which seems to feature Thancred. They show only a few seconds, they show the death wall that kills you instantly, and on pull it takes a couple of hits to destroy Yoshi P's character. When they use a cheat to heal past this, you see a slight bit more, but nothing to really write home about, and that's all they're allowed to show. It will definitely be cool to watch the world first on this one for sure, releasing 2 weeks after patch 7.1, which will be the 26th of November. Ultimate raids will be completely updated in patch 7.11 across the board. When 2 members with the same job are present in the same Ultimate party, the limit gauge will no longer passively fill up over time. You will need 8 unique jobs from now on in any future, present or past Ultimate if you want any LB generation ever. So this is obviously to prevent multiples of the same jobs doing Ultimates because you won't get LBs. Hall of the Novice updates then, and they actually have an in-game showcase. We'll go through this. As you can see, this is now accessible from the menu on your character rather than having to go to any NPC in a town or something, which is a great improvement. This way you can do it anywhere in the world. There are 3 different things you can queue in for with a set of activities within. Standing on a platform inside here that glows puts you in cutscene mode. It shows you an example of what you will see, and then text will tell you what you must do with that said situation. For example, a red spread marker in this light party. When the cutscene mode ends, you spread and it gives you a tick next to your character. This proceeds. Now we have a stack marker and we have to resolve that by stacking. And then finally we've got a tank buster, and this shows you that a DPS should not be near this and this tank should take it alone. Yoshi P deliberately dies here to show what happens, obviously giving you an X and then making you do it again. And then you can talk to the NPC and do your graduation exam for that particular instance. Of course, there are 3 of these. An instance has various different mechanics within it. This graduation exam then, as you can see here, is a combo of all of you that you have learned so far. This combines all of the mechanics from the previous things, as well as showing avoiding AoEs, doing stacks, going to safe spots, staying safe but away from tank busters, and moving away with multiple AoE markers as well. And there you go, there's your graduation. They also showed on this some kind of reward, but I didn't hear them say anything about what that reward would be, so we'll have to wait and see. There are many other mechanics shown across the 3 stages. That was just one of them. They also show 2 off very briefly. Yoshi P mentions there are towers and gazers in later stages, as well as proximity is featured as well. They show here very briefly how tethers work and how you need to extend them to make them detonate. A bombling spawn with a tether, and you have to take the tether to prevent the mage from blowing up the bomb. And that's a good example of what's to offer in all of the new Hall of the Novice features. Improvements to make players more aware of their surroundings and hopefully result in better party finder matchmaking. There is also a nice help menu additionally to this that explains everything with pictures, such as these AoEs here, gauges, what they mean, enmity, tethers, markers, and much more, with variants shown as well. Like the tank busters, they don't just show a tank buster, they show like 4 variations of what it could look like. It's a very helpful list of everything you would want to know as a new player or maybe a returning player. This mount then, the Swole Cactuar, is just shown. We're on a mount showcase here apparently. This is being added to the game. Not sure where it's from. It has the action button to pose with various sound effects, which is great. Your character also copies the pose. We've got a Penuity mount, which is the big thing from the first dungeon of Dawntrail that pulls the boat. It has an action button that swirls around and splashes, so it's pretty great that we get a mount of that. And there's the new mount from the new Extreme, Sphere Extreme. These are glitchy green wings, so like that cyber glitch sort of stuff with a green, very cool. When you fly, it actually spawns some of these like spinny fan things from the fight as well, like extended out of you. Very cool sort of mecha look. Very cool. All right, next is a couple of group pose updates. They added support for fishers, fishing animation, so you can take a picture with your fish whilst fishing, and adjusted the camera controls to remain screen-oriented rather than rotate based on a roll angle. They say, as shown during PAX, we're working on a few bigger UI changes like chat bubbles, and the whiteboard feature that we announced but we never followed up with is being worked on, end quote. Outfit glamours then. This is a big one for me. This is a new ability to store specific combinations of gear in the glamour dresser as a single slot. This can be projected onto gear or added as glamour plates. This will primarily support level 1 glamour at this time with a launch of 7.1, and you must possess the entire ensemble of a specified gear set to store them as an outfit glamour. So they show this in the game how it works. So in the glamour dresser here, you can see that you can combine all of the items here of the Felicitas set from obviously your Island Sanctuary. This is the example they gave, into a single storage slot if you have all of the pieces. So you select all of the pieces when you click on this, and then you store them together as one icon. Now, instead of taking 5 slots from your dresser, it now only takes 1. If there were dyes on this previously, they unfortunately will be lost, but of course you can apply dyes on the glamour plate anyway. Now, as you can see, it contains all 5 pieces in one section. So if you make a new plate for a new glamour, you simply select the item based on the slot you click like usual. So if we click on the helm, there's the Felicitas helm. If we clicked on the chest, you could find this Felicitas one, but instead of it taking up 5 slots, it takes up just 1, which is amazing. This is ingenious, a fantastic solution to saving space instead of just adding more slots, which I hope they do anyway, but that's a fantastic way of doing it. It's probably one of the coolest ideas for the dresser they've come up with, in my opinion. Next up is a great quality of life feature, the copy settings to another character feature. A character's heads-up display layout, macros, config settings, and more, they say, can be now copied to another character. This is applicable to characters belonging to the same Square Enix account and on the same device. Yoshi P says, and I quote, "The game has been running for so long from RP perspectives, and just having alts, this feature is overdue," end quote. Couldn't agree more. It's kind of annoying to swap that data between characters. You have to go and mess around with your character, the folders they're stored on the PC. It's just nicer to have a button to do it. So it's really cool they're doing that. Thank you, Square Enix. Next, we've got the duty list updates. They just have a little bit here that says, can now display up to 10 quests at a time. That's nice. More quests displayed. Tilt configuration. They've added the feature to show character tilting while turning. So Yoshi P says the tilt that has been applying to flying mounts will now also be applied when your character turns as well. These will also become features you can individually toggle, end quote. So I'm guessing as you're zooming around sprinting, your character will lean into that. I can't wait to see that in the game, actually. Speaking of graphical changes, the graphical update adjustments based on feedback are starting with patch 7.1, with the character-related feedback being addressed. An additional file of Fantasia will be distributed because of these changes. However, this is only available during the patch 7.1 series from a certain NPC. It's not going to be a quest, Yoshi P says. You just talk to an NPC and you get this. So it's a free Fantasia for your investment and putting up with the changes. And that's pretty much it for the main content featured. There will also be job adjustments and much more, obviously, that's not listed here, but those are going to be in the patch notes. But first, they have the schedule to share with us. So as you can see, November the 12th, the patch comes out. Patch 7.11 releases on the 26th of November. This will be the ultimate. Then December the 17th, patch 7.15 releases. This will include new custom delivery client, the Waku Meki Meki crafting and gathering quests, and Hildebrand. Then on December the 24th, in time for Christmas Eve, is the release of Cloud of Darkness Chaotic. So it looks like we're going to have, quote, a chaotic Christmas, which is fantastic. I can't wait for that. Then on the 21st of January, patch 7.16 releases. This is where we get the additional role quests. So a few more items then. This is really cool. The weapon design contest winners. So let's look at these. First, we have a ladle and a saucer shield for Paladin, which looks amazing. We've got a bombfish axe that's being made for Warrior. A beautiful Sakura-themed blade for Dark Knight. Apparently this comes with cool visual effects as well. shark-themed gunbreaker weapon, and a double shark fist section for Monk. We've also got a fat cat brush for Dragoon, which looks more like a brush than a lance, a knife and a fork for ninja weapons, a parasol weapon for a samurai, a nutkin bow for bard, a bouquet of flowers with a gun in it for machinist, which is hilarious, a really cool fire dancer set for dancer, really like those, and a ronka staff for black mage with a spoon and saucers. We also have a summoner book here with a carby on it. Red mage gets an umbrella, and the focus, they actually zoom in here for an extra picture, is drippy, but he's kind of transparent because he's made of water, so it's hard to see on this white paper. We've got white mage getting a massive piece of cake as a staff. Scholar books featuring stained glass with Selene and Eos. Astrologian gets a snow globe with Yukinko inside of it and snow effects. Reaper gets this blade with a scarecrow design. Sage gets cutlery new lifts, which look amazing. Viper gets, as you guessed it, a massive knife and fork, which look incredible. Pictomancer gets this magical girl weapon, which I'm pretty excited about. I want to see that in a game. That looks really, really cute. And Blue Mage gets this magician's rod with flowers. So those are all the contest winners for the weapon design contest that are being added, presumably in patch 7.1 somewhere. Announcements then. So we have the War of the Visions crossover, Brave Exvius with Final Fantasy XIV. This is a two-side collaboration. This includes outfits based on apparently the two main protagonists from that game coming to the Final Fantasy XIV online store. So there's not really much of an event around that. It's just go to the store and purchase those outfits. It's scheduled to be around December. Now, normally I would kind of brush this off a little bit, but if we zoom in, those tights are amazing. So yeah, definitely getting that. And on the other side, in their game, they're getting a collaborative event where players can get Dawntrail vision cards. I haven't played that game, so I don't know what those are. A new art book is coming that you can pre-order called The Art of Succession. This is where we get the Eleneshpia, or I guess Erenveal, as a minion for our purchase. This is scheduled for release in April the 29th, 2025, or around that. The Dawntrail soundtrack is currently available. You can buy the Blu-ray from the Square Enix store and get a Zero minion. We did a video on that recently. There's also the Primals Blu-ray and special box, coming with music, a t-shirt, and much more. This will be available in the West as of March of 2025. Next, we have camping equipment, which is a partnership with a company called Logos, who is making Final Fantasy XIV themed outdoor items. These are available for pre-order November the 15th. Apparently there will be a special live stream with Yoshi P & Co on the 15th where they will showcase these items as well. Might be worth tuning into to see how hilarious that goes. Can Yoshi P put up a tent? That is the question. And now we have some jewelry. Flibustier, I think it's called. Flibustier Paris collaboration. This is Grand Company Allegiance themed jewelry in a beaded wristband, which both Foxclone and Yoshi P demonstrate. And next is a collab with Schwarzkopf, which is a hair dye brand. Schwarzkopf Live, vibrant hair colors inspired by Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know if there's anything else more to it than that, just then you can get these hair dyes that have 14 characters on the front. This will be announced later on the Lodestone. We'll have a look at that together. Echoes of Eorzea, a decade of Final Fantasy XIV symphony music, taking place on November the 28th and 29th in Saudi Arabia, if you live in Saudi Arabia or you visit there. Final Fantasy XVI gets a page here telling you that it's available on Epic, Steam, and PS5 worldwide. The PC version's great, by the way, just letting you know. And of course, there's a slide from Hironobu Sakaguchi's game. I'm long awaited for this one. It's great looking. Fantasia Neo Dimension. It comes out on December the 5th for Nintendo Switch, PS5, and 4, Xbox, and Steam. I am super excited to see what Sakaguchi's come up with in that game. Finally, they mentioned that the patch notes reading will be done by Yoshi P and Foxclone on November the 12th itself, in Japanese only if you wish to watch that. And that's it. That's Live Letter 84. Nearly, 6 hours it felt like of Live Letter, condensed as much as I physically could. Did you enjoy that? What were your favourite announcements from the show? Me, Personally, the glamour dresser now having outfit glamours is probably my favourite part and probably the best quality of life features for glamour enthusiasts anywhere. And the Chaotic Alliance raid looks awesome. I cannot wait to try that on December the 24th. I guess we're celebrating Christmas with the Cloud of Darkness, which is ominous to say the very least. Anyway, thank you so much to the unofficial Final Fantasy XIV subreddit Discord for the translations we used to put all this together. Go give that some love. A link will be in the description as usual. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.